Hey, our client is on their way from 20K a month to 100K plus a month. And here are the two biggest things that we just talked to them about last night. Timmy with the intro. So, straight out the gate, the two biggest things we talked about, because a lot of people will be like, what's the secret? What's the secret to be a millionaire? What's the secret to do this? They don't do this, obviously. And when you tell them, they're like, oh, come on. Like, what's really the secret? It's very simple. Very simple, but not necessarily easy. The two main things that we talk to them about, the biggest one is your beliefs. What you believe to be possible, as well as what you believe about who you are, what you believe about yourself. Sorry, I'm just adjusting this here. Those will be the biggest, that will be the biggest thing. And secondly, within that, is going to be who you surround yourself with, who you allow to, whose thoughts, whose beliefs you allow to penetrate your mind, because that is going to influence that there. And you might be thinking, bro, what about the strategy? Because I said strategy in the title. This is 20K to 100K plus months strategy, right? And it is. The biggest thing is the strategy is quite simple. It's very simple. It's about doing the fundamentals of business at scale. But these things are going to affect the degree of effectiveness of those fundamentals because of how you show up, how you execute them, your expectations of them, as well as the expectations of yourself. So that's going to be one of the biggest things to take into consideration. Strategy tends to be very simple. It's very straightforward. Have something valuable, deliver that at scale to a degree, and have quality as the highest priority. You don't even have to have quality as the highest priority to get to $1 million a year plus, if I'm being perfectly honest. But that's what we prefer to do. That's the kind of business that, the type of businesses that we like to build. So when it comes to that, I'm really going to focus on strategy simple. These things, the deeper things, are the things that are going to stop you. Because think about it. If first and foremost, you don't believe it's possible to be a millionaire, to earn $1 million a year in whatever industry, business you're in. For us, it's coaching, like fitness coaching and that kind of thing for these guys specifically. You're not going to do it. Like, you're not going to behave in a way that's conducive to those things happening. But if you believe it, you fully believe it, like, and embody that, I am someone who's going to do this, or I am someone who does this, that influences everything. It's like that video that I've thrown up before, but it's like your brain is like a circuit switch. Whatever you believe, that's what you're going to act in accordance with. Because, like I said before, it's like beliefs determine your actions, which determine the outcomes or the results that you get. The biggest thing is if you have that belief, and it sounds very woo, very simple, but there's a reason that every single person says the same thing. All the successful people say the same thing. You have to believe it to be true, because then everything's going to align with that. Your subconscious actions, your drive are all going to align with your beliefs, which is ultimately like who you believe yourself to be, who you think you are, who you see yourself as. Because, yeah, that's that point. I say because sometimes it's a filler word. But the biggest thing is, you'd think, oh, it's so simple. It's just a matter of like, oh, I just believe it's true. Not necessarily, because you have to really dive deeper on your actions, and also not do it too much. You have to, because if you're always looking for problems, you also start to create problems to make yourself feel better. That's a little tangent. But the biggest thing is you have to understand where you're coming from, who you believe yourself to be at your core, and a lot of the only way to tell that, more often than not, is the way you speak and what you do. So actions, essentially, because they're going to dictate the outcomes. So if you do things that aren't conducive to getting your business to be a certain way, and you act a certain way, you speak a certain way, it's going to be indicative of, oh, okay, my beliefs don't align with that. So you can look at that and you can change those things. You can change really what you say, but also what you think about yourself, what you believe to be true, because we all have a bunch of truths that are kind of instilled onto us a lot of the time, or things that are believed to be true, but might not necessarily be the case. I'm just going to turn the fan on because it's warm. It is warm and my hair is too long. Need a haircut. So you really have to understand that it does boil down to the belief side of things, because as much as everyone is going to be like, whoa, it's It's simple. I've got this strategy, this is the next easiest thing, gets you 50 plus clients, 3 to 5 clients a week, whatever it is. As soon as you get in there, it's going to boil down to what are your beliefs, because how are you going to execute that strategy? Because that strategy could be perfect, but the perfect strategy not acted upon is no good. It's no good. So it does come down to you, because strategies are very simple and the beliefs are huge. So what you say, what you speak over yourself, if you're constantly telling yourself, oh, I'm an idiot, oh, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at maths, you're not going to be that good at maths. You might be okay, but you're never going to realize your full potential in that aspect. So you have to, as Michael Bisping would say, conceive, believe, achieve. But it sounds very cheesy, like I said, but it does boil down to a lot of that, because if you can do that, every action will be in alignment with heading towards a certain goal, or in alignment with who you perceive yourself to be. And hey, guess what? Even if you're wrong, even if, technically you're wrong at that stage, it's not possible. It's impossible until it's done. And that's what a lot of people will say. You look at some of the biggest guys in history, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, we're all fitness related here, we understand that. He said he could just so strongly see this vision for himself when everyone or a lot of people around him be like, no, you can't do this. That it's impossible until it's done. Personified in a man, because he's gone and done all these things because he just had a clear vision for himself. He believed it. He knew, I'm this guy. I'm going to be this guy. And he just went out and did it. All of his actions were in alignment towards achieving those things. And you could look at it and be like, wow, he's an exception. Like, he's a star, But everyone thinks that it's an exception unless it's you kind of thing. It's unattainable. But if you believe that, what are you going to do? What are you going to do as a result? You're going to act in accordance with that. Oh, no. You give yourself a little bit of an, I'm not Arnold though. I don't have the accent. Oh, I don't have this. I'm not built like that. There's an unending amount of things that you can put up as excuses to stop yourself from going out and maximizing or realizing, your full potential because of those beliefs. If you believe that to be a certain way. And another big thing, the second main thing here is like what you speak over yourself, but what you allow others to speak over you. Because when it comes down to it, you don't realize the importance of the people around you. And this is something that our clients were saying last night. Wow, you don't realize just how important it is, the people around you, like the things that you say as well, like that above all else should be one of your number one priority. I mean, I've told the story on our end. I can speak largely to our experience of how we went out and we made ourselves homeless that first time because of what we believed was right and who we believed were the right people. We're like, we're these people, but we're not going to allow this standard of someone saying to us, no, you're not going to be able to do it, you're going to fail. Just gone. Make yourself homeless, go find another place, get around purely the right people. That's what we did. That's a very quick summarization of it. But the fact is that 2 months after doing that, that's when we became millionaires that first time. And I always tie that in. So it's a story. It's something to attach, like in your memory to solidify the point. You got to do whatever it takes to get around the right people, because that's going to have such a massive influence on the subtle things that take place in your day to day. You could call it energy, you could call it whatever. But the fact is, you are going to be nurtured in essence a certain way. Another thing that comes to mind that we talked about last night was that experiment where they had two jars of rice in water, and for 60 days or whatever it is, one of the jars of rice was encouraged, talked to, positive, that kind of thing, and the other one was degraded, talked to negatively for that 60 days. Same conditions and everything for both jars, so it's not like anything was changed. The independent factor that was changed was the language, like what was spoken over that glass or that jar of rice. And the one that was talked to positively was clear, it was still white, and the one that was degraded and talked negatively to was brown. It started to go off. And all that to say is that it really highlights how important that is. You could call it an energy thing, like that seems to be the case from that, but how important the words that are spoken over you are in the outcomes in the things. And you wouldn't think, oh, what's going to happen? But 60 days is not even that long. It's 2 months. Roughly 2 months on average. So it's like, that's not a lot of time, but you can affect and see that kind of change in such a small period of time just by what's spoken over you. The thing that got us to move out from being homeless was someone in that place. I've put it in a video, but basically my wife's father saying, I can't wait for you to fail so I can laugh behind your back. And it was just like, you know what? Don't need to hear that ever again. Don't need to be around that environment where that's that kind of thing. Don't want to be around the brown rice. So we left. And you don't realize how much of an influence people have over you until you actually take a step back and account for yourself. There's that saying that surround yourself with 5 millionaires, you'll be the 6th millionaire. Surround yourself with 5 crackheads, you'll be the 6th crackhead. That is such a potent thing that you have to realize you have control over. You have influence and you control the standard of who is around you, who's going to influence your actions. And those actions are ultimately going to be what influence the outcomes. Directly affect the outcomes, the results that you get. So you might have certain beliefs that have gotten you to 20K a month or wherever you're at. But those beliefs, more often than not, if you're not aware of them, will keep you there. They'll keep you in that situation. It's why lottery winners go on to win the lottery and majority of them end up broke again. And they're like, I would have been better off if I never got the money, because money doesn't solve the problem. It amplifies it. It's who you are when you get the money, and then they get into a worse situation because if they were bad with money before, and let's face it, most people are not great with money, they're now into a worse situation without the money, but they've got all the negatives from before. So millions of debt, that kind of thing. Because of who they are, who they perceive themselves to be, influence their actions, then they're probably not thinking, I'm going to go broke. They're probably not thinking that, because the ones that think, okay, if I'm stupid with this and don't know how to manage my money, I'm going to go broke, so I have to do the right thing. If you believe that and you perceive yourself to be that way, those are the ones that have acted accordingly, kept their wealth, used it, amplified it. And that's true of anything in life. You just get to see a higher degree of that when you're around more money. And those tend to be the biggest differences in the people that, well, those are, like, bar none, those are the differences between the people that think it's possible and the people that don't think it is possible. Oh, Svetlana, what's up? Haven't seen you in ages. So, yeah, if you are looking to do that kind of thing, so much of it is who you surround yourself with, and you have to realize that you dictate the standard of who you surround yourself with. And I'm not just talking, who you pay to be around in a mentorship capacity, that kind of thing. Not just that, but your friends, your family, who you talk to on a regular basis. You honestly have to be pretty good at cutting people out, as and when you need to, when it's right to do so, because that's a big part of the strategy. I'm not telling you go cut your family off, but I have cut off people that I've considered family before, because I was like, these aren't the right beliefs to be around. And as much as you can tolerate it, life's too short, I believe, to tolerate things, to tolerate a standard lower than which you know you are called for. So when you know that you're called for something and you can achieve a certain thing and you have that belief, it only holds you back to be around other people or to stay around them because, maybe I can bring them with me. Maybe I can change their mind through them getting to see it or anything like that. You holding on to them is just going to hold you back to where they are. Now, you can't take them with you, so you just have to go. You just have to go and do your thing, get better, do whatever you're called for, regardless of if they're going to do that as well. So it's really important for you to realize that you dictate that standard of who you allow yourself to be around. And that's why I believe you should pay whatever the price to get around the right people. And you will probably make mistakes along the way and learn who's not the right person. And when I say pay whatever the price, I don't just mean money, because obviously that's the first thing we think of, but we pay with our effort and our time, our energy, that kind of thing. Those are things that you pay with as well. But the thing is, you got to realize, even if you're not losing necessarily, you can't see that you're losing money by being around certain people, you're losing energy. You're diminishing your effort. You're losing time by being around the wrong people. That's just what's going to happen. That is the way it always has been. So you have to get, what's up, Brian? You have to get the energy drainers, so to speak, out of your life. And for me, I'm just like, if that's being around people who you just tolerate, who like, they're neutral, like they're not thinking as big as I am, but you know, what's the worst that could happen? That's not good, because at best, it's good for them, but not good for you, which ultimately is not good for them because you're not being at your best. They're dragging you back in a way. So it's like you have to elevate to where you're around people of, at minimum, your standard or higher. And then you automatically, because that becomes your reality, your life, what you're around every single day, you rise there. And I'm not just talking standards in like business, but I'm talking ethically, spiritually, all of that side of things, because that's huge. Life is not just about money and business, but it is also about the spiritual side of things, how you feel, that sense of meaning, that purpose, that fulfillment. And money, I'm not saying it can't be a part of that, because it is a part of that, and being able to serve and really help other people, that's a tool for that. That was a bit of a tangent. But I think it's really important to realize that you dictate that standard. So if you've got people that you don't like around your life, you know who they are. You just got to cut them out. You just have to be okay with doing that so that you can have a higher standard of life for yourself. And there's a reason that everyone just says, it's people. Like, that's one of the biggest things that I hear all the successful people say. And we say it too. It is people. And then when everyone says, really, like, what's the secret? What's the secret to earning millions, doing this, changing your life? It's people. Because who you're around. Like, my life has been more than I could have imagined because of my wife. You can track all of the best things that I have now back to my wife. And that all comes from God. But it's like, that's people, one person. You just have to realize that it's simple, but not easy to get around the right people, to do the right things. Because also the right people and the right beliefs, tying this all in, will help you stick to the right strategy. And that's how you'll be able to get up to 100K plus months, all of that good stuff. So yeah, that's all for this one. And I'll leave you guys to it. Catch you guys on the flippity flip. Take care. Bye. Keep it all gravy, baby.